Just as an introduction, I'm Sherry. I've been in this business for 18 years. I set up the internet division for the Houston Chronicle back when it was chron.com. Did a lot of cutting edge pioneer stuff. We were the first organization to do streaming video. I was one of the first people to do streaming video for commercial purposes. So the Chronicle did streaming video for NASA they did their space launches and what have you. And then they did a big Route 66 as an editorial piece, and then we jumped into the commercial venue with the Houston Ad Federation and actually did the first public online streaming way back when it was 14.4 baud. It was terrible. So those were some of our projects in video and claim to fame. So fast forward 20 years, and video has come obviously a very long way to the point we'll talk about some stats and statistics and where we think video is headed online coming in the future. Bear with me, my asthma is out of control, so if I'm panting, it's just I've been struggling for a few weeks. But why video marketing? So video marketing, obviously from the day when there was like 10 of us at the Chronicle kind of doing it here locally, it now enjoys 193.1% of the search volume content that is digested on a daily basis. And what that means to you as a consumer, as a business owner, is that well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, is that Google serves up 18 trillion views every single month, trillion with a TR. And that is significant in that that is equivalent to 18 years of content in one single day that gets served up in video content. So as a business owner, what does that mean for video marketing? How does it work? With a survey for 3,000 campaigns, 46% increased their reach with millennials by combining TV and YouTube television with an average increase of 42% in conversion. So what that means is it's not just television ads anymore. For the first time ever, online ads are taking over and owning the market space more so than TV. 50% of the data that is consumed on mobiles are video content. So effectively what happens is millennials are now using, the majority of their content digestion is coming from video consumption. So most of the things that are happening on our phones, we're doing it and we're consuming on average 1 to 2 videos per day on our smartphone. So 50% of the marketplace, 50% of the smartphone applications are running video. And what that means in terms of ROI from a big local picture, from a big local perspective, it means that if you're in the toothpaste category, you are 8.5 times more likely to convert with your ad spend on online versus television or the combination. So it converts 8.5% times better. Well, I'm struggling getting that out. It's 8.5% better. And same thing with shampoo, soda, or smartphones. You're double likely to convert with your YouTube ads. And the reason is the cost is so much cheaper than obviously like a Super Bowl commercial. You can generate Super Bowl type traffic in viral scenarios, and instead of paying $2 million, you're paying 9 cents a click. So bring it down to a local level, and I'll bring that towards the end on a local level. What that means on a local level is that your conversion is way higher, your cost per click is way lower. And for those of you that attended the Google piece, the ad piece of it, you're converting from $15 to 9 cents. So your margin is so much greater on a video commercial, although there's a right way to kind of go at it. The intrinsic value of video, as you know, is greater customer connection, higher engagement with the consumer. You create a following, and that's one of the things we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is that it's my belief that's where marketing is heading, is that community, creating an atmosphere where you have a group of loyal followers. If you look at the Apple model, they have a tribe, and in their tribe, they are loyalists. They will fight to a bloody end to prove that Apple is far more superior than Android. And the reason that they do that is because they have brand loyalty. So in a market, in a generation when brand loyalty is not what it used to be, creating these communities are bringing back the brand loyalty that creates that loyalist atmosphere. Increased conversions, and then my favorite, the SEO value. SEO value with video marketing is off the chart. SEO was a big signal. Video marketing was a big signal 3 years ago for search engine optimization. It's dropped over the past couple of years as a true indicator. My apologies. It's dropped as an indicator, but it still has the same significant value, we'll get into that in a little bit. But the three marketing strategies that are available for video marketing are owned, earned, and paid. Those are the three basic categories that you have when you're talking about online marketing as an online marketing strategy. Owned is going to be your collaterals that you already have. It's going to be your web, it's going to be your blog, it's going to be your white papers, it's going to be your storyboards, it'll be your downloadables, it'll be your playbooks. Overall marketing content. You own it, you created it, it's yours. The second strategy is earned. Earned means your white paper was so killer that it got shared and sent out amongst the population. So it got shared, it got retweeted, it got liked. You earned that audience. So it's not something, it happened kind of organically. And then the last, which is where we'll put kind of the heaviest emphasis, is on paid. But talking about the first two strategies kind of ever so briefly, the owned side of it. So when you get into understanding the landscape of video marketing, there's a lot that goes into it. And first is understanding the differences between the types of video content that you can produce. So it's one thing to just watch a video that's like a commercial, an infomercial, but there's all of these other segments, and this is not a full listing of them. This is just kind of a bullet point scenario. But live streaming is exactly what it is. You can hold a class online, you can do a webinar, and that live class can be done through all types of technology platforms like Google Hangout, Webinar, Uber Conference. So these live streaming events can happen through a lot of different platforms. That is very different than a webcast. So live streaming can be recorded and then turned into a webinar. So a lot of it interrelates, it's connected, but they're separate. So if your goal is to start with, say for example, a webinar, a class, I want to teach a marketing class online, I can do a live streaming event. In my live streaming event, I'll send out an email to a group of people that says, hey, come and join me. I'll send out some postcards, I'll put it in some flyers, I'll send it to some collaborative resources like chambers of commerces and schools of businesses and things of that nature. So I send that out to them, schedule the date, get my invitations back in, host the event. As I'm hosting the event, I'm recording it so that I can use it for future date. Now it becomes a webinar. So I have my live streaming event, then I have my webinar. Also, different than a webcast. Webcasts are a little more known as like a syndication, if you will. To put it in an analogy of traditional television, it would be like a show. like your favorite TV show. If you have Survivor, you watch Survivor, you know it comes on every single day or every single Tuesday at 8 a.m., whatever it is. That's what a webcast is. It's scheduled. Your audience knows that you're going to be there. They know that when they turn in, there's content that's going to happen, whether it's live or pre-recorded, and that's what a webcast is. Webcasts are more think production, think filmmaker style. Tentpole events. Tentpole events are exactly what you think they are. A tentpole event is, say for example, you go to a Dynamo's game and they have a tent out for people to come and do things. You actually can do a webinar or an online right there on site. Because it generates a lot of traffic, you don't necessarily have to do it live. You can pre-record and filter around that particular event. So that's why it's called a tentpole event, because it's a show. It could happen for like a football game, NASCAR, whatever your venue is. If your venue is super national or super local, you pick what your tentpole event is and then build content that goes around it, promote it and distribute it. And that's part of a online marketing video venue. Limited content access. So we specialize in a few verticals, and in those few verticals, it's an invitation only. We only allow people that are in our demographic market to come into that content. So it's limited access. It's content that is very specialized and very specific to that particular market segment. Anybody else gets general, and they may pick up a live stream, they may pick up a webinar, they may pick up a tentpole event, but my limited content access is strictly for a very specific kind of business owner that we work with. It's a closed group, and it's created specifically for them. The other is content collaboration. It's really big in the industry right now. It's getting bigger. It's kind of the hot button, I think, for 2015. It's kind of the biggest trend that I've seen change over the last year. And content collaboration is basically referral. So for example, Yusuf is with SCORE. He has a very large following. And in his large following, there is a subgroup that has some interest in marketing. So I create an event with Yusuf to do online that is shared inside his content. So it's really the big hot button right now because it's basically sharing viewers, it's sharing users. And what video marketing really is all about is creating that community and creating that atmosphere. And making sure that that you're providing something that's unique, that has value, that the consumer really hasn't seen before, that you solve a problem. That's kind of the purpose of what you're starting with.
For your limited access content, are they syndicated shows that you create?
No, for our limited content, it's a closed Facebook group, and I'll post a podcast, I'll post a video, I'll post blogs, and it's an invitation only. And it comes in our coaching. We have a coaching mentoring package, and inside that coaching mentoring, it's inside that group.
But it's not like a design show or teaching opportunity for that target audience.
Yes. So it's highly specialized content. So so I'll give you an example. Our example is this. We have a 12-week course, and in the 12-week course, it starts from beginning to end of marketing. It starts with the nurture process, it starts with the brand development, the message development, the distribution, the products that fall within the decision tree that we discussed a couple of weeks ago, how to negotiate those products. It's a very specific outline that happens. Now, as I go through them, I record them, and then I'll repost them inside that closed content. That's how I do limited content. There's a lot of different groups that do it a lot of different ways. That's how I do them because it works for our market segment. But getting back with this, you start with your end in mind. And so when we started our program, we started with we had a very specific demographic that we wanted to track. In that very specific demographic, how could we solve their problems? What problems do they have? What problems that they have that we can solve? And so for that market, what we decided was that their two biggest challenges were they didn't know who to trust, because this is very confusing stuff, this landscape, and they needed to generate more leads, and they wanted to do it online. So those three are the biggest pain points that we decided that our target demographic had, and then we built the program to solve those three problems. And then we put performance metrics to see how we do on it. So we started with our end in mind. So when you know what it is, so our goal was to create an audience, to create a following. If we generated clients out of it, that was good, but the biggest thing was we wanted a following that came in. So you start with the end in mind, you know your why behind it. So I call it the why, like what makes you work, what makes you do what you do.
There you are. I was just telling Chris how amazing your new brand video is. He loved it.
Yeah, like, wow, Sarah. The talking turkey was genius. I mean, my mom even liked it on Facebook.
Thanks, you guys. Star marketer right here. So, anyhow, Sarah, I wanted to know, how's the actual video measuring up? It's been out for a while now, right? How are we doing?
Well, 2,000 people watched it, so pretty good, am I right?
Yeah. And?
Well, it went pretty viral. Tough.
But do you have any other
Don't say metrics. Don't say metrics.
metrics?
Oh boy, maybe if I just stand really still and don't blink, she'll forget she asked the question.
How many leads converted?
28%. Potato.
What? How much money did we actually spend on this video?
I have to run the numbers again through the flux capacitor, which will give us our Indexio rating, which is high. It's probably like 1 billion.
Sarah, I'm gonna need a full report on how many deals actually closed on this by Monday. I also want a complete breakdown of who the actual viewers are and if they converted through the CTA.
Yeah, so I have numbers on that. It's actually on my desk. So I'm gonna run and get the numbers, and you two stay where you are, have a little party, and I will be right back.
Start with your end in mind, because video is probably in all of the marketing strategies that you have, it's probably a little more complex. It doesn't have to be. Once you get the first one or two knocked out, it becomes much simpler, but the startup process is probably the most challenging phase of all of it. And so if you start with your end in mind, you don't end up with that video. It's like, we created the video, but it got liked, but it got shared, but I don't know, I have to run the numbers through the flux capacitor because So start with your end in mind. Know what your goal is. Know what it is that you're wanting to start with. And then once you know where you want to go, you're going to have a much better chance of creating something without having to recreate it. And you'll put your performance metrics in so that you know what's a successful amount of likes, what's a successful amount of shares. Did you convert what you were hoping to convert out of it? Because there's lots of reasons to do video marketing, but only your reason matters to you. And so it could be new clients, it could be to create a following, it could be to create conversions. So based on what it is that you're looking to do, start with your end in mind and put your checks and balances in place as you're going. All right, talking about the pieces of video marketing. Here are the things that you have to take into consideration when contemplating starting your program, your video marketing program. Start with your target audience, budget, distribution channels, message, the technical aspects, conversions, and goal measure and conversion measurements. So these are really the majority of the pieces that it takes to launch an actual video marketing program. So know what you're going to post. So we start ours with a content calendar. And in a content calendar, we'll take and lay out a 12-month program. We will look at the entire year. We strip in holidays so that we can add things that are timely and topical and available right there for that time of year. Know when you're going to post it and where you're going to post it. So those are the 3 pieces that we add to our content calendar. Inside that content calendar, we'll talk about things that besides holidays, we'll go back to what we talked about earlier in the first piece of it. We'll talk about things like what types and formats of video do we want to do? Do we want to do meme style? Do we want to do infomercial style? Do we want to do storytelling style? Do we want to do interview style? What type of project do we want? We try to keep one meme, one infographic, one FAQ, for lack of better description. It's a product/FAQ educational. We call it educational. That's what we try to do in our process. We try to keep those 3 formats because they're easy for us to manage. A meme and an infographic fall very well within our wheelhouse. The story or the FAQ takes a little more effort because it's a longer series. They tend to be 5 to 8 minutes. So then we start figuring out, how do we want to target that particular message? What do we want to do with it? Is our goal to take it viral? Is our goal to take it narrowcast? Am I going to send it to distribution channels like aggregators, site aggregators? Am I going to promote the content? Am I going to do paid videos? Or am I going to do paid in-stream ads? Again, this is a small subset of what happens in Target, but these are kind of the majority of them. These are the most important ones. So talking about viral, having the goal of taking your target viral. In traditional media, we talk about your target audience. We talk about your target audience as a 34-year-old female with X amount of income. In video marketing, we talk about that type of demographic, but before we talk about that type of demographic, we talk about what's the end result. Am I trying to get this to go viral? Am I trying to get it to go in a narrowcast? And I'll show you examples. Everybody always says, I want viral. They always want viral. GoPro launched their business with viral. Screen. So in viral, you notice it's not hard selling, it's a story. They told a story, and their product captured the story. And viral, it's not a commercial. It's about content. Compelling, you look for funny, you look for heartwarming, you look for the story. Think about it as journalism. In viral, you're looking for the route that connects with the audience. GoPro launched using YouTube videos. They've become a worldwide phenomenon because their commercials, if you watch kind of their series of commercials, they tell it from the consumer's point of view. They tell the story, and that's what viral is. Narrowscape is much more in line with traditional target marketing. You have a very specific niche that you're going after. It's looking for only the right customer that you're trying to attract. And you're putting your content in a way that identifies, that audience can identify with, that's unique and clever. And this is a great example of a very specific narrowscape.
When you don't invoice electronically, you spend time manually inputting your invoicing. Time manually inputting your invoices, you get a repetitive stress injury. When you get a repetitive stress injury, you ask for time off work. When you ask for time off work, the intern fills in. When the intern fills in, he does a better job than you. When he does a better job than you, he gets offered a job. And when he gets offered a job, he becomes your boss. Don't let the intern become your boss. Allow suppliers to submit free electronic invoices through Talia.
Again, not hard selling. There's a very specific audience that commercial attracts. And it's not, you need to do this because here's the benefit of this. They tell it in a story. And so when you're doing your video content, try to keep in mind what your end goal is. Am I trying to get viral? Am I trying to narrowcast? If I'm trying to narrowcast, how can I tell a story that's going to connect with that audience? Now you're thinking in terms of being a filmmaker, not a business owner, not a marketer. So solve your client's problems and tell it in a story, tell it in a way that's unique, that's not all about the benefit and the sex appeal.
So I noticed in the narrowscape there was a lot of talking going on,
Yes.
but the viral, no talking, no background music, is that?
There's other examples of viral. I'm going to show here. This is an example of viral and narrowscape. Here's a combination example.
Founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler can use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Papa! Stop paying for shave tank you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
Okay, so you get the point. That is a very classic narrowscape because he's only attracting men between shaving ages. So, but this commercial, because of the way it was designed, went viral, got shared, got earned content across the internet through a couple of years ago. This is when this came out. So it's a good example of narrowcased and viral. it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be that style, but he does some things in it that were pretty new, like using a word effing. That was pretty shocking in terms of viral content. That also made it onto national television. So there's some things that you can do, and you can play with the content and play with the format, but start with your end in mind of knowing, I want this to be narrowcast. And if it's a narrowcast, what's that message gonna look like? Because that's and I'll give you some examples of local here in just a minute when we get into the other side of this. Another message style, this might be a bit uncomfortable, but just to give you an idea, 112 million views, 513,000 shares.
Do we just do this anytime? Yeah. You ready? Yeah, take your time. You're ready. Oh. Can you turn off the lights? Come on.
Justin, how are you? Shall we make out?
This here is the awkward moment.
Since you're an actress, you've done this before.
A little bit.
Okay.
Maybe that isn't the best way to kiss someone.
So whatever.
Are you filming?
I don't forget
That's
his
actually
name.
pretty scary.
What was your name again?
Greg.
Greg. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
And so we can kiss. Wasting the time. Adding scars to my heart. 'Cause all I hear is I'm not ready now.
Good to go, no? You have nice eyes.
Let's look at each other for a second, okay? Okay. I can tell that you didn't hide to face your mother.
It's a very long one. I'm not going to take you all the way through it. But the point is it takes people out of their comfort. When you watch it all the way through, you start off a little bit uncomfortable. You're like, oh, this is not good. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, it's the human emotion. It's human connection. It's what we all want out of life. It's how do we connect? It's two people that don't know each other in an awkward situation. Received 112 million views and 500,000. And that's content style messaging. So there's a lot of varying ways to show your message and get to the goal that you're trying to accomplish with your video marketing. So you saw examples of viral, you saw examples of narrow. And then once you get where you want to go, how are you going to get it there? So you created this fabulous content. What's your delivery mechanism? What are you going to do with it? And there's as many places that you can think of to actually distribute your content. Channel aggregators are things like Webshow, Agra, YouVouch. There's sports aggregators, there's business aggregators, there's Roku, there's Blitz, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. You put your video there, it gets found. If you nailed it, it gets shared. You get earned content, which ultimately is the end of the day is what we're trying to get to, is more views. Content distribution channels like StumbleUpon, Reddit, TED Talks, Twitter, you name it, there's a million distribution channels. Channel networks, there's a ton of them. YouTube, Vimeo, Vine, Roku, there's tons and tons and tons of channels. We use YouTube. They have the best platform that's the easiest to use, although Vimeo and Vine are equally as sufficient as well. It's just kind of what you want to do. Tentpole events like this, we could have done we're videoing now. We'll take this content, we'll chop it up, and we'll repost it and reuse it in other places. Soccer games, Texans games, kids events, you name it. It's just where is your creativity, go with it. Types of messages, we kind of talked about a little bit, but these are styles of the message, how to stylize your message. Personal stories, people love and connect with personal stories. Case studies, someone else's story. I've been showing someone else's story the whole time. Limited access content, frequently asked questions, show and tell, expert collaboration, play a prank, make a meme. These are the different types of message styles that you can incorporate. And I'll show you a few local examples. So this example is of a local air conditioning contractor. And in one of our types of message styles, I said collaborative, use somebody else as an expert. So this is his version of that.
Hey, I'm riding Morris Jenkins, and you are watching my hometown tour. Now I'll be taking you to some of my favorite places in the area, and we're going to be meeting some pretty amazing people. So stay tuned. You never know where I might pop up next.
Ooh, I thought this day would never come. Y'all know I'm from the South, so I love me some biscuits. And today, I'm going to get to figure out how Bojangles puts that magic touch behind their magical, magical biscuits. Do I wear this? Please. And then I'm automatically...
All right. So now this capitalizes on Bojangles' trade name. It capitalizes on their audience and their brand loyalty. He's riding along in a collaborative effort. So it has nothing to do with air conditioning, nothing at all. But because he's created this environment, this world, this community, he has 443 views. Now, 443 views, is that impressive? It's 443 people that he didn't have before. So are there some things that he could do to maximize that? Absolutely. He could repost, reshare, send it out again, recycle the content, because once it's created, the hard part's done, it gets repurposed. Another example is integrating integrating the strategies, your social media. I think this is a great cross connection.
Okay, Donna says, please use different people for the commercials. They are so annoying, sorry, but it's true. I've been trying to get them to use me forever.
Mean tweets.
Mr. Jenkins has never has his seatbelt on. That's because we're not moving.
J-Box Collins, nothing kills a good workout like a Morris Jenkins commercial on Pandora. If that's what you need to tell yourself, eat a few more salads.
Skyland, pretty sure I lose brain cells watching the Morris Jenkins commercials. May not have any to start with.
That McBeastie still can't deal with these Morris Jenkins commercials, bro.
Okay, so you get the point. So he's taken all his collaborative efforts across all of his platform, and he went, you know what, I'm going to make fun of it, and created a video, put it out there. It's been shared 50,000 times. That's the point. So you have some wins, you have some near misses, but you take it and you take each piece of it and you make it work together, and that's what he's done with this. So he's active in Pandora advertising or app-based advertising. He's active on social media. He's active on video marketing. He's active in all of these different platforms, and he's connecting them in a very smart way for 50,000 views. 50,000 views for a local business is huge. it helps him be the #1 in South Carolina. And that's kind of a great example of viral, narrowcast, local. It's making that message work. So that's kind of the local side of it. I'm going to skip through the majority of this. The key thing is you have to build this around your keyword. If you don't keep your SEO strategy in mind while you're working on it, you're losing opportunity. There's the technical considerations of once you've done this, how do you lead capture? Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're driving home and capturing the people that you've worked so hard to get. If you don't put a lead capture in, then you're really kind of spinning wheels for not much, which also ties into your conversion metrics. Automated distribution tools. Once you create this content, there's ways to post it automated through like Buffer or Evernote or Hootsuite. There's a ton of them. There's a ton of tools that help you with the automation process. Which format are you going to use? How do you do it in a consistent manner so that you can replicate it? And then those first 15 seconds inside the message are critical. If you miss your first 15 seconds, you miss your audience. The budget, things to consider in budgets, the production cost, the internal cost, meaning your time associated to it, coordination time, lead magnet software, tools to post, technical, hosting, there's on and on and on. The part that's really kind of the save the best for last is the paid side of it. So all of that is the organic side. It's content marketing, it's content messaging. But then you go, okay, well, that's really great. It's really complicated, but let's bring it down. Let's make it simple. Let's talk about paid. Let's talk about how can I do this cheap, easy, simplistic without having to get into being a publisher of content. And that's where I was telling you, YouTube serves 18 years of content every single day. Local example of a YouTube deal. 1.8 million impressions. If you don't know what an impression is, it means every time the ad comes up, it made an impression on somebody. Probably not, but it rotates up. So it's how many pairs of eyes saw it. It was viewed 205,000 times, which means that somebody watched from beginning to end all the way through 205 times. This is a Galveston area pest control company. His view rate is 11.43%, which is an astronomical number. So it's a great number whenever you're talking about in terms of how many people saw it, how many people clicked on it. View rate of 11.43% is good. Anything over, for click-throughs, anything over 1% Google considers outstanding. He's averaging a 1.08% click-through rate. Biggest story in all of this for this local guy is if he were to take that same ad and run it in the search network, meaning pest control in Galveston, he would pay probably $9 a click. He's paying 12 cents a click. Definitely a better option in terms of cost percentage. Okay, last example, we're actually going to go into a campaign real quick. Okay, quick, down and dirty, gets through 5 seconds. You try to get through, you want your paid spots to be as quick as humanly possible and still be compelling. You can run a 30-second spot, but the likelihood that they're going to get it is pretty slim. 15 seconds is where you want to stay. You want to live in that window. You can push it to 20 if you're super compelling. If you're a hunter, you're probably gonna really be interested in watching this because it's sitting on top of content that's hunting related. And so just to give you a peek inside to this particular campaign, so there's two types of ads, display, which you just saw, and in-stream. And let me show you an example of in-stream. It's not as good as all the other examples, but you get the point. Hi, under the weather commercial. This space here is your in-stream. And basically, it just lays over, the consumer has the option, and there's the video content. So it just lays a little strip that lays over. You've all seen them, you've all clicked X before. And those just lay over top of the published content. In the last 6-8 months, Google just rolled out to where now they can take, so you have search, paid pay-per-click, what everybody knows is pay-per-click. You have display, which are the ads that kind of follow you in your Gmail box and things like that. Or if you go to, say, momsandme.com, you might see an ad someplace or that's sponsored by or pulled in through Google. Then you have what's called remarketing, and remarketing are the ones that come in like in your Gmail box. They follow you around different sites. If you clicked on somebody, they follow you around the world of the web. Those are remarketing. And then you have TrueView and InStream, which are the YouTube products. Those products now have the ability to be remarketed. So they now come through as remarketed ads. They can show up in your G Plus account. They can show up on sites that are not related. So that's new over the last, I think, 6 months. So now you can take that same format that you just created and that you used to could only use on YouTube and have it follow across the Google platform. And so now looking into that particular example for that particular client that I just showed you the video on, there's a lot of different options that you have. These are the different ads inside. You can have the video targeting. And in the video targeting, I can target by age, I can target by interest, I can retarget it, I can choose where my placement is, I can choose the topics that get discussed, and I can choose my keywords. So I have a lot of flexibility and a lot of hands-on things that I can change inside of my campaign that makes this ad more effective and shows it only to the right. So if I'm looking for brand awareness, I might leave it broad and leave it open. If I'm looking for men, I might narrow it down. But if I'm only looking for hunters, I'm gonna narrow it down even more so that I can really save my budget and make that budget work. So paid ads is the way to go for kind of instant ROI for immediate success. But you can take that same content that you just created on the viral, on the organic side, on the content marketing side, you can take that same content and promote it and link it to paid. So there's a lot of option and a lot of opportunity on the paid side to make all that effort and all that work that you just put so much time and energy into actually pay off and work for you. So video marketing as a strategy is an outstanding marketing tool. You get out of it what you put into it. If you don't start with a well laid out game plan with the pieces that we kind of talked about a minute ago, then your chances of success are going to be pretty minimized. But then on the other side, you always hope for the thing like Damn Daniel. Who's seen that? Damn Daniel, just a crazy kid doing a crazy thing, posted it, now has 2 million viewers. So it's not to say that everything has to be well laid out and well planned, but in 2015, 7 of the top 10 viral were produced by agencies, meaning it was well thought out, it was strategic and planned. It didn't just organically happen like Damn Daniel. So unless you stumble upon some accidental thing, start with your end in mind, go through all of the different pieces, and you'll come up with a winning strategy like Jenkins Morris. I think it's a great example. And that is video marketing. All right. I don't know, any questions? Kind of got them as we go.